Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? What's going on? Welcome to the Think Big podcast. We have the most handsome friend that we all know here, Mr. Samsung himself, and then you got myself, average looking man. Is my name is Alejandro Alvarez, and welcome to the Think Big podcast. The goal here, it's very obvious in the statement, is to think bigger than what you're thinking right now. If you want to make $10,000 a month, we want to make you or guide you in the right direction of how to make $100,000 a month. Because if you can make 10, if you can make a dollar, if you can make $10, $20, 10,000, you can make $100,000. All it takes is just knowledge and watching a few cool friends like us. So perhaps we give you that value you need. And today we're going to be talking about travel and adventure for growth. And I'm actually really excited to hear Sam's part today because he travels a lot. In fact, a lot. You travel. How many times you traveled last year, bro?
Um, damn. Totally. I probably have done minimum 30 trips in the last 10 months. Probably about 30 trips in the last 10 months total.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
man.
And here's the thing, there's a mix. I think what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the differences, right? So there's a lot of those trips, not a lot of those. Some of those trips were just very much like, personal travel for personal growth and development as a human being, as a person, just enrichment with friends and family and loved ones. And then the other side of that, 25 of those events, 25 of those 30 something events were me speaking on stage, right? So
Wow.
I was actually on stage at these events speaking about business and growth and scaling and whatever the hell it is, right? So there's going to be a good mixture, and then a few of those events even where I wasn't, it wasn't a vacation event and it wasn't me speaking on stage, it was me being a student in a room. So I was at a conference event but not speaking at it. I'm still a student in the room, sitting in the seats, trying to take in as much value as humanly possible. So I think what's going to be important for us today is to talk about for new entrepreneurs, because new entrepreneurs will get caught into into like a hamster wheel of travel, and there's good and bad to both, right? There's good and bad to traveling for vacation and to find yourself as a human being. There's good and bad to going to conferences, and hell, if you start getting into the branding stage where you're speaking on stages, there's good and bad to that as well. And I think one thing that we're going to do really well today is we're going to talk about the differences between all of those things. But yeah, man, tons and tons of travel.
Absolutely. Mr. Sam, first and foremost, before we get started, how are you, bro?
I'm phenomenal. As I mentioned, I've been traveling tons. I'm in a season where I'm not traveling for the next probably minimum 60 days left.
Mm,
I've been off for about a month now. I'm probably going to take another 2 months off from zero travel outside of my own state. And the reason why is because, again, you ride that line, right? Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm blessed to have spoken on 25 stages in the last 7 months now, 7, 8 months now. Phenomenally blessed. And there was a lot of growth from that, and there was a lot of long-term growth, but that long-term growth comes at a short-term cost very often. And so now what I have to do is I have to also be aware and dial it back because things need my focus right now. So we're going to break into a lot of those things, but man, I'm so good, dude. I'm not going to lie. I am loving being home. I'm loving being with my dogs. I'm loving just not moving right now.
mm.
It's a very interesting thing. I'm enjoying stillness. What about you?
I'm doing great, brother. I would say, last year I probably built up a few things that was really, really good for me as far as learning experience. And remember, this is a conversation we had behind the scenes, like as all the problems you have behind the scenes in business. And I would say I'm at least 65 to 70% almost done with all the unnecessary things I want to have in my life. And I feel really great, man. I mean, I felt great when it was at 100%, you know, going at me. I was like, oh crap, this is a new challenge. But now I'm almost there. I'm almost there, and it's going to be a big reset. But, just talking about traveling and stuff like that, Sam, I think you and I were going to have two different perspective, and neither or is going to be right or wrong. We just live two different, complete different worlds. So for me, I would like to start by saying every time someone asks me where you're from, it's always a hard answer for me. It's going to be a very difficult answer. the easiest thing I can say is like, hey, I'm from the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean because I grew up in so many different islands, countries, and it's just completely different. Like, so I've always probably I'm 30 now. I'm gonna be 31 this year. And the longest place I've ever been on is or been in would be Texas for sure, if you add them all up together. But for those who don't know, I was born in Dominican Republic, raised in St. Martin. St. Martin is a very small island. I think I told you, Sam. It's about 20 minutes to get to the other side of the island. And I grew up there from I'm gonna say a little bit under a year old all the way till I was 13. I would say that's where I mostly learned how to become, you know, a older person, or learn how to have a older mentality, you can say. But that's where I played sport, did kickboxing. And St. Martin's beautiful. If you guys never seen St. Martin, you probably like, why is this guy here? Which I get it all the time. Like, why are you here? How'd you get here? Well, my mom traveled. My mom traveled to the US to give us a better life, and here I am. And indeed, she accomplished that. So, you know, growing up in St. Martin, the difference with it is there was beaches, tons and tons of beaches, and that sounds funny too if you could just replace a word or letter. But there was multiple beautiful beaches, and I enjoy the people there. I enjoy the people there because honestly, Sam, just being transparent, I've never felt such separation in humans until I came to the US. And maybe that's just the way I grew up. But in St. Martin, I didn't even know what the heck what ethnicity was. I didn't know what the heck that was. We just get along. We're chilling. Doesn't matter whether you're white, brown, black, whatever. We're islanders. We're hanging out. We're having fun. Like it's almost really difficult for you to be very upset because you're surrounded by all the water, the calmness, the trees. Everyone is having pina colada, all this, etc. And you know, but at the same time, it would have never gave me what I have here in the US. So I'm more than grateful to be here. Super grateful because now I can provide for my family at a higher capacity. But the difference there, bro. It's Sam. Where did you grow up mostly? I don't think we ever.
I've been all over. So I've been all over. I was raised overseas, and then I came here when we were relatively young. But all over. And I wanna hit on something that you mentioned.
Yeah,
And I think this is what you actually. I think this is what you were saying without saying it. It's a cultural difference. It's a
yeah,
massive cultural difference. And I would say America's diverse, but America sometimes can be so painfully aware that it's diverse. And it's like, yes, we have every race, every culture, everything, but sometimes I feel culturally America makes so much of an exclamation point about diversity that it kind of becomes ironic because all it does is it doesn't bring people together. Sometimes I feel like it separates people. Versus you go to other cultures and other places very often that have not as much diversity, but when there is diversity, it's I don't think people focus on it, right? Like you mentioned, like ethnicity wasn't a thing. Here, it's like the center focus of everything we do is like, what's your skin color? What's your religion? What's your culture? What's your this, that, and the other? So, 100%, dude. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So let me ask you this, man. You guys came here, right? Because your mom had to travel, and I know a lot about your background and a lot about what you had to come through. You're in America right now. I think it's safe to say that you would probably consider America home right now, and maybe for the foreseeable future. Let's talk about travel specifically, right? You're a
hmm
guy who's a very worldly human being. You've traveled to so many places. Let's just say, you're a young entrepreneur, which you are. You want to go to Italy, you want to go to Greece, you want to go to Japan, you want to go to New Zealand, all these places. Um, does that travel have a place, right? Does that 2-month vacation where you go to Japan and then you hop over to somewhere in Asia, or you maybe go backpacking across Europe. For a young entrepreneur who's trying to make it, does that have a place? Are we allowed to do that, or is that just absolutely a no go because it'd be too much of a distraction? What do you think?
Let me make sure I understand the question before I go out in a tantrum. So what you're asking me is that does it have a place? Is it okay as an entrepreneur to travel to multiple different places? Is what you're asking?
Well, I'm saying like if I'm an American entrepreneur, right, just like you and me,
Yeah.
we're young, right, and we're trying to grow, and we need a lot of focus right now. Is there a legitimate place for us, for you and me, let's just say to go to, I don't know, Japan for 3 weeks, right? Pick up, go there. And we're not going to go to Japan and sell houses, right? We're going to go to Japan to explore and explore cultures and religions and peoples and of things that we're not familiar with to grow ourselves,
Mhm.
personal development, right? But the reality is when we do these things, we are putting business kind of on the back burner, right?
Yep.
Is it okay for young entrepreneurs to do that?
I believe so. And the reason why I say that's because, once you're an entrepreneur, at least from me, from my experience, maybe it's different for you, Sam, but I look at everything as an opportunity for business. And it's really difficult to turn that off. I can't just go somewhere and be like, not think about business. It just doesn't work for me. Maybe it's just the phase I'm in the business. But if I travel somewhere new, it's for me, I get to absorb what's going on outside of my current belief system or outside of my current um, blueprints to my future. You can go out to a different country and you can see something. You can see anything, specific human doing something, and you can get an idea of like, "Ooh, I can implement this in my business." Maybe it's the culture, like, "Wow, why are these people so much happy here? What do you guys do?" "Well, we do this," and you can probably bring that back to your business. And on top of that, it also, depending on where you go, you can start to appreciate what you have because I do believe that a lot of people here, where at least the people I've met, lack gratitude. Because long story short, I've had conversation with people like oh, I just, don't feel comfortable here. This makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, have you been across the world? Some people don't even have a window. Some people barely even have a home, but they're happy. If you go to them, I bet you see they're smiling, right? And I think as soon as it's just finding out how to become happy with what you have and or be grateful with what you have now, and stop focusing on what you don't have. Social media really messed that up for us a lot, bro. I think you lived in that generation, Sam, where social media wasn't really accessible. We're not that old, but you know what I'm saying. It's like there was a time where you would just appreciate things. You would go outside, maybe play on your Game Boy Color or whatever, and just appreciate things. Like you're not even focused on what someone else has. You're just focused on how can I be happy today. So traveling, it definitely helps at least to hit that reset button because sometimes as entrepreneur, we're really going at such a fast pace that we also forget to value what we have achieved. And I'm an example of that as well. I've been there where I'm constantly moving forward. I've accomplished so many things, and I just forget to be like, oh wow, I've accomplished something big. But I'm thinking of the bigger pictures, and we stop. But when you travel and you see different things, you tend to appreciate where you've come. Especially if you go back to older family members, like, oh wow, I forgot. People actually have it hard out here. It's really hard. I mean, we still do have it hard, but there's levels, I guess you can say. So yes, I would say it does fit into the entrepreneurship. In
I
fact, I would
love
probably
it.
say it's important.
I love it, dude, and I want to say this, right? I think there's not a single person here who is an entrepreneurship who doesn't want to go travel the world, who doesn't want to go explore new cultures and new cuisines and new religions and new ways of looking at life. I think we all want to, right? And I think that, and I'm this is very true with me. I think entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs who are about to get some traction, right? Or they're maybe scaling or they're in the process of scaling, we tend to feel guilty. We tend to feel guilty of taking time off. We tend to feel like, I know for me, I will give myself a day off when I really, really, really need it. and I will feel terrible the whole day, and I'll just be thinking about work the whole time, right? Because I've become obsessed with building. I think the reality is people all want to go and see the world. They want to go and travel, and they want to go on adventures, right? Like, me and Marlon, I mean, hell, he and I have, I don't even know how many states we've been in. We RV road tripped across the country. We jumped out of planes together. We've gone to Puerto Rico together. We've done all the things, and we've got so much more to do. Speaking of adventure, Marlon's running across America right now. I think he's still in California. They're on day 5 of the run across America, right? They're still in California because it's huge, but he's literally adventuring right now. And I believe Marlon's 30 as well. And here's what's amazing, right? I think we all feel guilty about taking the time away. And I struggle with this personally. I truly do. But I also then have to remind myself that there is a reason we do all of this. There's a reason why we build businesses. There's a reason why we have managers. There's a reason why we want to make money. It's not so we can just, put all that money in a vault and then never do anything with it and never enrich our lives. I think very often we kind of forget that life is by design, and it's by our design. The thing is, most people forget that, or they were never taught that, or they don't internalize it. So I actually want to give, people who are here, if you want to go and, as soon as you have the financial means to, like for me, I've got the financial means to pick up my family and go to Japan for 3 weeks, right? And we're going to do it. We just have to iron out some logistics, but we're going to go do it. Is my business going to take a hit? Probably. I'm going to try to be plugged in, but the reality is there's no way with me being on the other side of the world in a totally different time zone. I'm awake when my team is asleep, right? The reality is it's going to take a hit, but that's okay. Because I'm not building the businesses just so they can sit there for the sake of posterity and bragging rights and not be able to enrich my life or the lives of those around me with the fruits of those labors. And I think this, man, it's really interesting. I think you unlock levels of yourself as you travel and as you adventure. I'm not going to name the person specifically, but actually no, I am. It's fine. He wouldn't mind. So the first time we jumped out of a plane, right? And this wasn't when I did it solo this past time. It was the first time we ever did it. It was tandem. One of my best friends, Hung Mai, was with us. And he was like a lot of us, he was afraid, right, to jump out of that plane, but he did it. And here's the thing. Before that, Hung was very, very obsessed with hitting 100 grand per month in his business, right? That was his goal. He wants to get 100 grand per month in cash flow in his short-term rental property management business. And naturally, right, that's not an easy goal to hit. That is not an easy goal to hit. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and he's building and building and building. And I think there was moments of doubt. And then ironically, when he goes and has a natural fear of jumping out of a plane, even tandem with a professional on your back, he goes and does it, right? Goes and does the scary thing, goes and adventures, goes and puts his life on the line doing it. You know what happened when he landed and came back into the hangar? He was like, if I could do that, making 100 grand per month is nothing. And I think ever since he's been continuing to scale his business, it's actually amazing to see. So the reality is, you may wonder hey, Sam, I want to go on vacation. I want to go to Japan. I want to go jump out of a plane. I want to go snowboarding. But I know I'm taking the time away from the business. I know the business is going to hurt. The reality is it probably will just a little bit, but how much is up to you. If you just go to Japan for 3 weeks and then tell your team not to get a hold of you, then your business may tank. But if you stay plugged in, and then you also work on yourself as a human being and as a leader, and you go and like Alejandro says, go to Japan. They have a very strong work culture there. They also have a very strong culture rooted in respect in the chain of command and being detail oriented. And you go there with also a lens of I'm going to develop myself as a person, as a human being, as a leader. And like Alejandro mentions, bring it back to my business. Then guess what? Very often, going on those vacations actually will help you. I have directors in my business, man, and I want them to go on vacations. I want them to do scary, stupid things. Most bosses, if you tell them, hey, I want to go jump out of a plane tomorrow, they're going to tell you, heck no, right? They're going to tell you, hell no, don't do that. You're going to risk your life. You're not going to come back to work the next day. For me, I want all of my people to jump out of a plane because I know what's going to happen is they will unlock another level of themselves as human beings. And that will show in the day to day. It will show in how they approach the work, how they approach each other. They will have a new gratitude for life, right? When you jump out of a plane and almost, come very close to death, you end up having tremendous gratitude for everything else around you, right? And so I want people to do the scary stuff. I want you to go travel, guys. Make no bones about it. Me traveling for fun. I spent 5 days at this private mastermind called the Matsu Mastermind. Private mastermind. I spent 5 days on the side of a mountain with an Olympic snowboarder, professional snowboarder. He's one of my really close friends. I love him to death. And he basically teaching me how to snowboard on the side of a mountain for 5 days straight. Ironically, I probably had some of the best business growth I've ever had because I was learning new skill sets. I was training, and also I was picking the brains of someone who is excellent in something else. And that's another thing that when you go into travel, guys, is you're going to find excellence in other aspects of life that you never would have thought of, right? You're going to go to Europe. You're going to go to Italy, and you're going to meet some artisans and some craftsmen who care. Especially in Italy, you're going to find some of the greatest vineyards and winemakers, enologists. That's what it's called, the study of winemaking. You're going to find some of the greatest enologists in the world in the care and craftsmanship that they put into everything they do. You're going to be inspired by it. You go to Japan, you're going to see the same thing in precision, in respect, in their work culture, right? It is an extremely respectful, beautifully clean country. And you're going to take a lot of these things and bring it back to how you operate in your daily life. I think that, to your point, Alejandro, you're going to go to places that are maybe third world, right? People don't have access to the free world. They don't have access to the internet. They may not have electricity. They may be living in dirt huts. And the reality is you're going to come back from that to your house that you thought wasn't good enough. And then you're going to realize, damn, this is actually really nice. Let me walk in the rest of my business, the rest of my life with a little bit more gratitude. I think you're absolutely right. Dude, let me ask you this. Is there now so we're going to get into conferences and seminars and real estate events and business events in a minute. Is there a personal travel adventure trip that you want to go on that you think would benefit you a lot?
Personal travel, honestly, man, it's something that will always. I was actually looking at some travel plans to Bali. I don't know if you ever looked at Bali, but the nature, they have all these Airbnbs all facing, overlooking the ocean, and you're surrounded in this nature. There's something about nature that gives me peace, man. I live in Texas, so mountains and trees is not really a thing over here. But when you look at places like Bali, it's really beautiful. And that stuff gives me peace. And how that personally benefits me mentally is that it allows me, I feel like I can properly think with much clarity. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm limited on the way I think. It's just a much easier space to be in, to have gratitude, enjoy where you at, and also have some clarity on the way you think, which of course can reflect on how successful the resources to my business would be. I really do appreciate and I value my peace. And Sam, you know this about me. If I can go to a peaceful place, I believe that I will always work at my highest capacity. And obviously I would learn newer things about me. So that's the personal, at least the personal side of it. It's really difficult sometimes, Sam, when you ask me personal stuff as far because like personal and business is kind of the same world for me, because I do this for a living. It's just what I do. I don't say, "Ooh, let me go to work." No, I say, "Let me live my life to my highest capacity and succeed and achieve my goals." But yeah, what about you, brother? What would you say?
Yeah, man. One, I love that. The reality is, I think you and I view the world very similarly. It's something you and I connected on is that we value peace. We truly do, right? A good, one of my friends and mentors, Pace Morby, has been on my ass for 2 years now, trying to get me to move to Phoenix, Arizona. And I tell him, like, I'll buy property there, but I'm probably never going to move there. And the reality is, you know, and he's like, you got to be close to the action. Well, the reality is, I'm going to be completely honest here. Sometimes there is too much action. Sometimes you know too many people. I don't want to be in a town where I have 300 friends. To me, that's 300 potential. Like, are there avenues for success? 1,000%. There's also 300 potential distractions there too, and you have to find a way to limit these things. And I think as someone who is truly focused on growth right now in my business and the things that I'm doing, I need quiet because things can get really loud. And I'm going to say right now, like, it's one of the reasons why I am locked home. So for those last 7, 8 months where I did 25 stage events where I spoke on stage as either, I think on almost all of them, I was the keynote speaker. So I was either the only speaker or I was the final speaker closing out the event. It's a tremendous honor. But the reality is, after all of that, man, after meeting thousands of people in person and just on planes left and right, you know, just loving on the people that you meet, you end up getting to a point where you're like, I need quiet in my life right now, right? I hear all of these voices. And sometimes what happens when you travel too much and you travel to the wrong places or you're caught up in the hustle and bustle of regular American life is that you forget what you sound like. You forget your own voice. You have all these other voices going around in your life and none of them are yours. And that's why I love that, man. So for me, you know, we actually talked about this in one of our very first Think Big episodes, back when Daryl was still around. And that was about what do we do for recentering and refocusing. And I think you and I very much had a thing about going into almost isolation, right? We need the isolation. We need to turn off the noise and the voices. And then for me, you know, traveling for the personal growth, sometimes it's isolating and shutting down the voices that you hear day to day and finding new ones that are coming in with different life experiences. That's why I'm so huge on traveling internationally. So for me, dude, I think the two big ones, I think one just passionately for me is going to Japan. I think that's a huge one for me. I'm enamored with Japanese culture. There's so much about it. Like, yes, there's the anime and the fun side of it, but the reality of so much of it is probably one of the most meticulous, precise, tradition filled cultures I've ever seen, where it has this beautiful blend of modern, worldly modernism, right? Because it's got some of the greatest technology on earth, but it's simultaneously the most beautiful way, in the most beautiful parallel, maintained tradition, right? And I look at America. I love America. I love this country. I firmly believe we're the greatest country on earth, but I do believe that the cost of modernization in America comes at the expense of traditional values. You and I speak about this, right? With culture. I look at Japan and I think Japan very often has the modern, right? You have Tokyo and Okinawa and it's beautiful, right? At how much technology and society is progressing, but it never seems to come at the cost of traditional values and culture. And so I would love to explore that and get to know that. And the other thing for me, man, just from a peace standpoint, is New Zealand. Is New Zealand. I want to go to Wellington, New Zealand. I want to go and be on the beaches there. I want to go into the mountains. I want to go out into the plains of New Zealand to meet the people, because the people of New Zealand, the Maori people, are some of the most grounded human beings you'll ever meet. And they don't take a grain of sand on the beach for granted. And what I love about these cultures is they have different religious approaches to the world too, right? So they believe in so many spirits and entities that, you know, we don't really see very much of in America, right? There are some underrepresented cultures in America, as diverse as it is. And I think the Maori culture is one of the most fascinating ones to look into. There's a rich history with their people, with their cultures, with how they view spirituality. And to be able to go and explore all that and bring it back would be amazing. But yeah, 100% for me, it's the same, man. It's the peace. It's the peace in getting away from things. And I would say this, man, truly, it's learning how to be grateful again, right? Sometimes I think you and I operate in gratitude. I think we truly do. But I think that, you know, sometimes we need to go to another place to really see, you know, how to be grateful at another level, right? When you go and you know, meet with craftsmen, in the Maori culture, the Italian culture, hell, even the Japanese culture, and you go meet someone who's kept the art of katana making, swordsmithing alive for thousands of years, right? and there's very little money to be made in it. There's no commercialism for it. They can mass produce these katanas in a factory, and there's still that guy that's going to spend 2-3 weeks hand making a katana one at a time. Why? Because he's preserving culture. And I think having that would be huge for me, just understanding it and seeing it. But I want to move on, man. I want to move on to something a little bit more kind of, I would say, relevant for a lot of these folks right now. A lot of these people, they're getting into the industry, right? And they're getting some traction. And here's the problem they have right now, Alejandro. I'm sure you know this. There's a goddamn event every freaking 5 minutes somewhere. And they're all across the country. There's tons of amazing speakers. Pace Morby's probably on all of the stages at some point. He's on all of the damn stages. And the reality is these things cost money. They do cost money. It costs money to usually pay for the ticket. It costs money for you to fly there. It's going to cost money for you to pay for food. You're going to, go out to dinner, and like the bill's going to be expensive because you're going out with 5 different people and you want to look like, you know what you're doing. And people are being caught up, truly, man, in, I would say, conference hopping, right? It's like every 3 weeks. You know what was wild, man? And I don't mean offense by this, but this is true, and I pay attention to these things. When I go and speak on stage, I have a very clear, intentional understanding of what I will receive from it. I'm going to get deals. I'm going to get private money lenders. I'm going to grow the businesses I want to grow. And I can, if I speak on stage, whatever it costs me in money, I will probably 10x that return by being the speaker. Here's the sad truth, though, guys. Very often, the return the speaker's going to get, you're not going to get being a member of the crowd. It's just the way it is. Why? Because there's 200 of you in the crowd. So I know, and there is this pervasive thing where people are like, well, we need to be a part of the action. We need to be a part of the campfire. You do. You 100% do. I'm going to be honest, man. When I was on tour, we did a California tour. Within 6 days, we did 5 events in California, all across the state. One person went to every one of those events who was not part of the tour. And my thought, honest to God, is this is phenomenal. You're going to meet so many people. I don't know that was actually worth all of it. Do you think, man, there is an overdoing of Mastermind? Can you overdo it? Is that possible?
Heck yeah. I think, to give some context, if you're going to masterminds and events just to freaking meet people and not take advantage of those relationships, you are overdoing it, my man. Like, what are you doing? I've seen people, like, I probably go and I need to go to more events, but I probably go to like 2-3 events a year. And it's not because I don't want to. I mean, obviously, introvert, what that's like, Sam. And I know it's necessary to go meet people because that's how you're going to grow your business. But man, I can't go because I have so many things that I have to do in my business to continue growing. If not, I'm not like Sam yet. Sometimes if I leave for X amount of time, stuff will go bad. So I need to be here. But every time I go to these events, I see the same amount of people that have not done anything to financially benefit them at all. And in my head, I'm like, okay, number one, where the hell are you getting all this money from to go take flights, go to these events, and then you say, I'm struggling to get my first deal. How is that even possible? And why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what I fully don't understand it. I never had the guts to ask somebody, hey man, if you're struggling right now with getting your first deal or reaching your goals, what the heck are you doing here? I've never had the guts to do that. Again, bro, peace. I don't want to have you with this person. So yes, if you're overdoing it, if you're not taking advantage of.
My thing is this, man. I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm gonna piss off some people, and I'm probably gonna, if they hear, I'll probably piss off certain gurus too, and certain mentors of mine even, who are really big on the whole squat up, show up all the time, show up to every damn thing on earth. The reality is, very often the people who are telling you to constantly show up to all the community events and to all the campfires and to all the masterminds and to all the damn things because your network is your net worth. I believe in that. I sure damn do. I sure freaking do. Here's the reality. If you are new and you are not making money, you should not be going to every freaking meetup mastermind on earth. I'm sorry, you shouldn't. What you need to do is focus on one thing specifically, and that is achieving or attaining a skill set that brings value to the marketplace that you can monetize on. There is a place for going to events, but I see all these people who literally, man, this is one of the reasons why like I'm like very adverse to the idea of moving to Phoenix. I know people in Phoenix are friends of yours and mine, and man, dude, they attend 4 different meetups a week, right? And I know their businesses, and dude, they don't make money. They make some money. They do deals, but you know how there's like living paycheck to paycheck. There's also people who are living deal to deal, right? They're gonna go and make a 20K rip, but then that's like the only money they have until their next deal. And then that's it. It's a deal to deal basis, right? And they're living, and they're going out to dinner every night. They're going out to Nobu. They're going out to, you know, all these expensive steakhouses, and they're doing the thing, and they look like ballers. You guys want to know, the reality? I know a bunch of ballers. I know a bunch of people who are making hundreds of millions, right? They're my mentors. Some of them, I'm going to pay a stupid amount of money just to be in their proximity. Some of them, I bring them value. Here's the reality of all of them. You will not catch them dead at a freaking meetup. They protect their time, right? They protect their energy. And if you're in the beginning, go to some meetups, go to some masterminds. But if you do this whole thing where it's like you're paying another $1,000, if you were on a plane every month and you're not doing, in my opinion, probably minimum 3 to 5 deals a month yet, you have no place. You're in no position to be doing that, because all you're doing is, guys, I travel so much. I travel so much to speak on stage. It's why I'm taking this huge break off. I know what it costs on average. On average, to go to a 2 to 3 day event with Airbnbs, with food, with planes, return flights, and 2 flights, the whole 9, you're going to average between $1,500 to $1,600 per event. I know this, guys. I've done it enough times. You will average $1,500 to $1,600 per event. Now, unless you're doing a minimum of 3 to 5 deals a month already, and you're doing an event every month, every other month, some of you guys doing it twice a month, the reality is all you're doing is burning a hole in your pocket, thinking you are going to be making money because you're around other people. And I want you guys to realize this. You can be in a room and you can travel and go and be in a room with other people who are in the same industry as you, right? We always talk about being around like-minded people. The reality is, unless you are actually making money with them, I'm going to be very clear here, not talking about making money, actually making money with them in that moment, right then and there, paychecks are hitting your bank account. Unless they're not, all you're doing, I'm sorry, is still socializing. It is the same. Now you're not partying with the frat guys, but you're just partying with other investors. And very often I see these people, man, to your point, man, you and I, you're someone who doesn't go to a ton of events. I've been with you at maybe a couple events in person. And then you and I will talk about it, man. We'll see the same group of people. And I'm sorry, very often, because the communities that we're in, usually the same group of like older females who just show up to every freaking event. And you and I know they don't have businesses, right? There's a problem that's occurring that I'm seeing is there is a conflation, a confusion, a misassociation of being around other people, being around other investors is a money-making activity, and it is not. I know people who are doing millions a month in this industry, and they don't leave their freaking home. Because being in the room is great. Being around other people is great. But the reality is, what inputs? Business is simple, guys. If I wanted to, I would actually probably, Alejandro, it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I would probably scale my business and grow it faster and make more money if I never went to a conference ever again. So I do think there is a value in going to these things, but I do think that the amount that you go to them and your intention behind them needs to change based on the season that you're in. If you're just getting started, you need to go to understand the ecosystem, to understand, oh, here's a lender, here's a flipper, here's a wholesaler, here's a TC. Now I understand. What I'm doing is I'm paying down my ignorance debt by finding out what people are doing in the industry. And I'm understanding my place in the industry by doing that. I'm paying down my ignorance that I'm learning about the place. If you're someone who knows how to do deals, if you know how to do transactions in theory, right? You need to stop going to these events unless the events truly are lead generating opportunities for you. So a lot of times people, they always tell me, it's like, well, Sam, I'm going to go find my next, I can go do deals with, from people with people I meet there. Great. Amazing. Very often after, who'd you meet? Are they in a CRM? Are you treating them like a lead? If you were going to pay $300 for a PPL lead, right? On paper lead, or $400 for a PPC lead or whatever, it would come into a system, you would track it, you would be diligent with follow-up, you would chase that down until it monetized. People do that all day, man. But I see people drop 2-3 grand on a freaking ticket for a mastermind. They go there, and then by the end of it, they just get a few phone numbers, they take a few selfies, they post about it on social media, and then they go back to their lives and nothing changed. So if your goal is to go there and you're going to say that you're going to generate leads and you're going to generate opportunity, you need to treat it the same way that you would when a seller calls your phone and says, hey, I want to sell my house. It's the exact same thing, and people don't do that. And so I think that in the beginning, you're going to go learn the ecosystem, learn what's out there in life, and then find yourself. But I do believe there's a point in your business where you do need to step away. Because what's going to happen is this. If you over socialize, if you over expose yourself to the industry, what's going to end up happening is you're going to see people doing a million different things. And then this really dangerous thing comes up, man. It's called FOMO. And I'm a huge believer that FOMO is the enemy. It forces you to lose focus. It forces you to look for the next easiest thing. Because when you're trying to work on your skill set and you're trying to do one simple activity that will make you money and it just hasn't panned out yet, right? And you feel that natural resistance of, is this the right thing for me to do? What's going to end up happening is you're going to see someone else make money easily doing some random shit. And then what's going to happen is you're going to bail on what you're doing, even though you were 3 feet from gold. So FOMO will kick in. Now, I have to be honest here. You're going to go and then you're going to, get what you need from it. You're going to step away and work on the skill set, work on the business. You need to be focused for a time. You need to disappear for a time. There will be a time when you do come back at a different level with a different intention, right? And the goal is that the next time you come back, you're in a different season. Where now your season isn't, I just need to learn more. I just need to, feel the vibrations of this is what doing feels like. You need to come back and be at a different point in your business where, like, now, clearly you are a flipper and you need private money lenders. And you are going intentionally to generate leads. And people don't like that frame, man, where we talk about, like, other people as leads. You need to view them as leads. The truth is this, they're private money. They're not a private money lender. PML stands for private money lead. So you need to generate that lead when you go to these places. And when you come back for them, you have a Rolodex. You are following up with them. You are actually, hopefully, presenting opportunities for you guys to collaborate with. And you're going to keep doing this. And then what's going to eventually happen is you're going to step away again and build your business. You're going to build your business till the next stage. And then what's going to happen, Alejandro, is eventually, depending on your intention, you're going to be maybe someone speaking on the stage. And so I go to an event and I want to meet people. You guys, make no bones about it. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how relatable they seem. The reality is anyone who's speaking on stages, no matter who they are there to make money. It is not, they'll say, like, yes, we want to meet the people. We want to be a part of the room, all these things, X, Y, Z. But as someone who speaks on, like, quite a few stages right now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've probably spent, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of dollars in the last 7 months just speaking on stage, just in hard expenses speaking on stage. I've probably spent, I've probably close to like 6 figures in spend doing that already. Like, it's insane. Now, as much as I love people, do you think I would sustain that? I would spend in the stage that I'm in near 6 figures on travel and expenses, all these things, just to meet people, just to have new friends? The answer is no. I have to receive from the room. So if the guys on the stage are being intentional enough to receive from the room, and they won't be on the room unless they will intentionally receive from it, why is it that attendees at these conferences, they get caught up in it all the time? And I think I think I know the culprit, man. I think that people follow influencers and they just want to be a part of their favorite influencers flavor of the month. Whatever the hell their favorite influencers doing that month, they just want to be a part of it. They don't even know what they're going to receive. Very often, they don't have an intention. They really don't. They just want to be a part of the campfire, the community. They want to feel the warmth. And so what's going to end up happening is they keep dropping so much money into these things, developing themselves, sure, but they get into a point where there is a law of diminishing return with what they get from it. So I wanted a huge kind of rant there. What do you think, man?
Bro, I think that was well well said, my friend. I mean, you spoke tons and tons of facts. There's a few things you kind of just went over, like it's just normal, to a lot of people where traveling if without the intention of receiving information to help you grow is just crazy. Like, what are you traveling for at that point? I mean, I get it if you're traveling for fun, but if you're not financially hitting your goals, man, how much quote unquote fun can you actually have? And I think this was a question for you, Sam. Isaac, he says, or Isaac, I apologize if I mispronounce it. Who do you wish the next person you meet would be? That's a really good question.
Oof, that's a good one, dude. I'm gonna give a general, interesting, fun, personal answer, and then I'm gonna give a business answer. Um, so on the fun, personal one, someone that I want to meet. Damn, that's actually a tough one. Bro, the more that I've been following this person and like just really paying attention to what they do, I've just been so wildly impressed. Right. I mean, there's the obvious answer of like guys like Alex Hermosi, so I'm not going to say Alex Hermosi. But the truth is, someone who I'm wildly impressed by, we all should be impressed by, is I mean, there's a few, but right now, someone that I'm paying a lot of attention to is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and what he's doing specifically with his time in wrestling because he's back to wrestling now. And this has nothing to do with WWE or being like a wrestling fan, just seeing what he's doing there. Because he didn't just, guys, The Rock's like I don't even know. He's probably a multi-billionaire by now with all of his assets in his IPs. So there's a company. I'm going to go a little bit into it. It's called TKO Group. They basically own the WWE, and I think they also own either all of the UFC or most of the UFC or something. That's the ownership company above it. So it's this one organization, TKO Group, that basically owns the two big entertainment fighting organizations that we all look at. Dwayne Johnson, being the superstar movie star that he is, just got on their board of directors. He is on the board of directors of the company that owns two multi billion dollar companies. And like you and me know from a business standpoint, dude, the amount of equity he must have in two multi-billion dollar companies is insane. He's a man who understands leverage and brand reputation. And this just came out. One of the things that he got from negotiating, right, outside of just being a part of the board of directors, he got IP, in that sense, for intellectual property. A lot of these companies, they will basically create these characters, right? Especially with the WWE, right? You've got all these phenomenal characters that they then will make toys and video games around and all these things. There's intellectual property there. They have rights to these things. You know, one thing that he got the rights back for?
What was that?
It's the name The Rock. One of the most globally known superstar names. I didn't realize this. He actually didn't have the commercial rights to it for the last 20 years, right? When he was a wrestler, it still was owned by the company. It was owned by the organization. So a huge part of what he did to be on the board of directors is one of his requirements was to get all of his intellectual property back. So now he can take the title The Rock, right? Which is globally known, and he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. So I look at things like that. It's why a lot of people don't know that, guys, I don't even drink. I hate alcohol. But Dwayne Johnson he's an owner in a multi-billion-dollar tequila company called Teremana Tequila, right? So I'm looking at people like him. I'm looking at people like Dwayne Johnson, like Logan Paul. Love him or hate him, Logan Paul is a badass in business, right? Mr. Beast, who leveraged his social media brand and reputation to go and launch, whether it's Beast Burgers or Feastables, the consumable candy product, which is going to be a multi-billion dollar product, right? Without a shadow of a doubt. You have Logan Paul, who people, a lot of people are very controversial. A lot of people don't like him and his brother. But the reality is he took his gigantic social media following and launched probably the biggest energy drink in the world right now, right? And he's crushing. They're doing hundreds of millions of dollars per month in sales. And then I think they just became like the sponsored drink of like, whether it's like the WWE, I think they're sponsoring some NFL teams. And it's like, there's a lot going on. So I'm looking at these young guys who understand, here's how we can crush in brand and social media. And then here's how we can leverage that into business and become billionaires in the process. And I think there is a new wave of greats coming along. So like one of those guys, man. So someone I would want to meet right off the bat, Dwayne Johnson, Logan Paul, or Mr. Beast. Outside of Alex Ramosi, those are three guys that I would actually want to sit down with and just like honestly get to know what the hell they're doing. And then someone outside of just business entrepreneurship, just someone that I would want to hang out with and just kind of like meet. Funny enough, bro, Keanu Reeves. I think I would want to have dinner with Keanu Reeves. I think that'd be like one of the best conversations you could ever have with someone.
Bro, you are shocking me over here. I was not expecting any of those answers from you.
By the end of it, let's go to dinner with John Wick. That's what we're going to do. What about you, man?
I want to meet so many people, man. They're very similar to yours for sure. I've met Alex Ramosi, but I'm going to define, I guess, to meet a person is actually to sit down and have a conversation and just understand how do they think on a daily basis? What makes them comfortable to make decisions throughout the day, stuff like that, man. But if I had to pick one person, I would say it would be Warren Buffett. It would definitely have to be Warren Buffett. I don't know as much from Warren Buffett. I know enough where this guy, to me, at least from my understanding, he's a definition of work smart, not hard. And I feel like myself, a person that works really hard, if I understand how to work really smart as well, I would dominate the game. I would dominate that. So Warren Buffett for sure. He's a guy that doesn't care, man. Out there just driving his Prius, having Coca-Cola and what is it called? What do you call it? McDonald's, mac cheese.
Dude, he has like several cans of Coke a day. He's like 98, 99 years old. He just does not. I'm like, and dude, here's the thing. That to me seems like a person who's truly content with their life. Real quick, I want to hit on this, man, right here. Some people are smart with money and in business, right? Like Leo Messi, who, in my opinion, is the greatest football player in soccer of all time. Hate me, at me for it if you disagree. Number one. Okay. So from the Miami Soccer Club, he turned it down. Right. And then he goes on and does something big with Apple TV. This is another thing that I'm seeing. Right. And he thought big, I'm looking at that. Right. Here's the reality, guys. It's this something Hermosi talks quite a bit about. And it's the woman in the red dress. Right. As you get better as a business owner, there's going to be, like, you need to have a level of focus, and a woman in a red dress, a gorgeous woman who is a complete knockout. She's a perfect 10. She will walk by. The reality is that woman in the red dress is a distraction from what's going to allow you to grow. And the dangerous thing is this, guys. I'm telling you right now, this is true. As you get better as entrepreneurs and as you build your brand more and more people get to know you and you have attention and an audience, the woman in the red dress, she gets prettier every season. The dress gets nicer every season. And so there's going to be more women in the red dress, and they're going to look better every single time. And what do I mean by that is, as you get bigger and better, the opportunities that you attract to you will become bigger and better. And what's going to happen is this: you're going to get to a point where everything you do will make you $1 million, no matter what, guaranteed. You have to have the discernment capability of understanding when to say no to things and being prepared to be in a season of saying no so you can scale, so you can be focused on the long term, right? Warren Buffett, I would say that Warren Buffett is arguably one of the greatest investors of all time in terms of business acquisitions, right? In venture capital. Here's the thing. Warren Buffett doesn't own 7,000 businesses. He is arguably one of the greatest pickers of all time. Everything that he has picked in Berkshire Hathaway has just gone through the roof. And he's a guy who I remember he said this, where Warren and Charlie Munger both had an agreement between the two of them as partners and best friends that if they make at least 2 good decisions a year, it was a good year. Because at the scale they're operating at, they only have 2 critical decisions that they need to hit out of the park per year. You do that, throw away the 10,000 other opportunities. They don't matter. They're irrelevant. The problem is this, guys. In the beginning of entrepreneurship, you're going to say yes to every opportunity. And then eventually what's going to happen is the more opportunities you say yes to, the less you're able to grow, because now you become distracted. Now you become diluted. Now you become spread thin. And eventually you're going to have to discover or cultivate discernment. So for me, I'm very focused, and guys, don't get me wrong, right? You can become discerning when you have a good opportunity vehicle in front of you. And if you don't, keep trying out new things until you get a better vehicle in front of you. I'm someone who has a few very phenomenal vehicles in front of me. So I'm in a season right now where I'm saying no to pretty much everything. I am saying no to everything I can, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, guys, I'm being pitched so much stupid shit. It's insane. There's a new business opportunity coming to me every 5 seconds, and every single one, they would all make me probably minimum $1 million in my first 12 months of doing them. And I have to say no to them, because I know the things that I'm focusing on, I will be able to grow, and they'll be worth hundreds of millions, and I'll be able to sell them, right, and exit them and have a legitimate exit for 30, 40, 50 million net to my pocket. And so you have to cultivate long-term thinking. And dude, I'm on such a tangent, but Warren Buffett is the king of having long-term thinking. So I absolutely love that, dude.
Beautiful, man. That's great. We have about 4 minutes now, Sam. Is there anything else about traveling that we can leave these ladies and gentlemen, amazing human beings, with, that they can go back home and take action on today?
Yes. Yeah. I want people to raise the bar. I want people to raise the bar for what they're willing to travel for. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, is there a chance that you will go to a meetup and meet someone who in that one connection is going to change your life? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't want you guys spending your hard-earned money, especially when you don't have a ton of it right now, and you need to be a little bit more specific with what you spend your money on and how you allocate your resources and your attention. I want you to be more discerning, and I want you to be more disciplined with, I'm not going to go to everything under the sun because my favorite influencer is involved in it. You need to go to things that you tangibly know will return you value. You and I went to a mastermind it was in person, and this is before Think Big. This is before you and I really even became close. And it was in Phoenix, Arizona. And I told you, I was only there for one specific reason. And like, there was some phenomenal industry leaders who were leading that room. We were in their office. You and I had like VIP backstage set up and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then I didn't care about the relationship. Honestly, I didn't care about the relationship. I didn't care to become best friends with the guy throwing the room. I didn't care to become his next best friend. Why? Because he's got shit to do and I've got shit to do. The reality is, I know that chances are my life won't be changed at this event. I very specifically was there to learn one thing and one thing alone. And that is, what is he doing for his PPC marketing? And that's it. I went with a very specific question that I wanted answer, that I could get tangible, implementable value back for, right? And so in that, I ended up getting all the answers that I needed. And then guess what? I realized that I would never go to one of that person's events ever again. They were completely useless. It was a shit event, in my opinion. But I learned what I needed to learn, right? I learned what I needed to learn, and it got me through that season. And then we crushed PPC. I want people, if you can't specifically, if you're about to buy a ticket for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 and pay book the flight and the whole nine to go to an event, and you can't articulate specifically what implementable value you're going to return to your business with after the event, you do not have my cosign to go to that event, because you're not clear enough yet. But if you can say, Sam, I'm going to go to that room because I want to meet that person and I want to see how they underwrite deals because they're lending out $10 million a year and I want to get their best practices, cool. You have intention, right? Then I'm on it. But if you're just going to like, oh no, that person's leading it and influencers there, they're going to have cool speakers. And then I just want to go network. Go develop some skill sets that'll make you more money. Trust me, worth it.
You heard it. Heard it from the man.
Can I shamelessly plug now?
Absolutely, brother. Come on, man. Let's get it on.
Okay, so everyone here, you guys know that I am not big on plugging. I don't promote stuff. And the reason why is because I ain't got shit to sell. So very much in a young Hormozi fashion, I am very big on not selling stuff. I don't do coaching. I don't do mentorship. It's not my game. Why? Because I like scaling and growing businesses. That's what I love doing. And like I mentioned, that event, I think it was a few $1,000 event for me to go. There was like $3-4 grand to be at that event to learn, just to get that one answer for PPC, guys. In 2.5 weeks, I am doing the biggest masterclass that I've ever done. It is completely for free. And I'm going to show you guys how to scale every marketing channel that matters to minimum $1 million a year. And here's the cool thing. I'm doing it from a place of actually having spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing and generating millions of dollars in transactional value doing it. So coming from a legitimate place of actually having done the thing, I want to give all of that value away from just completely for free to all of you guys. I'm not going to charge you for the event. It's completely virtual. We're going to go for 4, 5, 6 hours. And I'm going to teach you everything I know that's cost me $150K in masterminding and mentorship. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest here. There are masterminds and mentorships that I'm in that I pay 30 grand a year to be in. And I think they're the best mentorships in the industry. And Marketing Secrets is going to teach marketing better than they ever could. And I'm going to do it for free. And here's the giveaway, because I don't want anyone to ever be like, hey, Sam's like promoting, Sam's doing all this shit. I want to give value to my people. And here's how I'm going to do it. For a select few group of people that are there, it's going to be completely random. Not sure, but like I'm figuring out how I'm going to select the people. I will spend, Alejandro, more than I've ever spent in my life on a giveaway. I'm going to come out of pocket between $5,000 and $10,000 that day in giveaways for the people. So if you are interested and you guys have heard rumors about Samsung and his master classes, here's the link. It is in the chat. It's going to be popping up there. And then if you don't have the link, just go to my Instagram. My link's in my bio. Register for it for free. It's going to be amazing. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for letting me make a shameless little plug.
Beautiful. Well, that's all, folks. That is all we have for today. The only thing we ask in return, guys, we don't ask for payments. We don't ask for your blood type, nothing. If you simply gain any value from this podcast and or you think Sam is a very handsome man, please share this with your friends. Share it with someone who would really benefit or find value from what we shared. Obviously just sharing it just because you want to provide value to us. That's great. And that's all we ask in return. And, feel free to leave in the comments what questions you have or what you're struggling with. And, that gives us here at Think Big ideas of what to talk about next to help you guys the best way we can. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, have an amazing day. See you next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time.